Hi all, this is Mr. Burns. I can't be with you here today. So what I'm going to do is do a little bit of review from last week. We're going to take a look at Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell, and then we'll also discuss the Seneca Falls Convention, which was held in 1848. So let's get started. Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell became America's first female physician. She applied to colleges back in the day when women just didn't go to college. And she set her goal as very lofty. She wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to practice medicine. She wanted to be a surgeon. She was accepted into Geneva Medical College. The college kind of took her on as a joke. The faculty and the male students that attended medical school classes with her wanted her to fail. And they went out of her way to make her life miserable. But somehow Elizabeth Blackwell endured, and she graduated from Geneva Medical College, and she became America's first physician. She practiced in London, she practiced in Paris, she practiced in New York City. The heart and soul of her practice was to work with women and children. During the American Civil War, she was back in the United States, and Abraham Lincoln tapped her on the shoulder to head the U.S. Sanitary Commission. Sanitary, you might have heard that word before. It has to do with cleanliness. Dr. Blackwell was way ahead of her time. Physicians in her day and age did not know about germs, and they did not know about the link between germs and disease and germs and infection. However, Dr. Blackwell believed that it was very important for a doctor to keep their practice clean, and cleanliness was important to her. She insisted that Civil War doctors and the hospitals that they operated in be kept as clean as possible. Her actions saved thousands of lives during the war because it reduced the number of deaths from infections. In 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention was held in New York. Seneca Falls was the location. The Seneca Falls Convention happened because the women who were involved in the abolitionist movement felt mistreated. They wanted to be leaders in the fight against slavery, and when male abolitionists disrespected them, they also were clearly convinced that in order for women to have more of a role in society, they needed to organize and fight for rights of their own. So this is a picture of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She was one of the organizers of the Seneca Falls Convention. She was an amazing writer and researcher, and she would form a great partnership with Lucretia Mott. Both Stanton and Lucretia Mott believed women should have a greater role in society. So here we come to one of the other critical organizers of the Seneca Falls Convention. It's Lucretia Mott. Mott grew up as a Quaker. A Quaker is a special religious group. We still have Quakers in the United States today, but Quakers were a very progressive people in the 1800s. They were against slavery. They wanted to see slavery ended in America. And they also believed that men and women were equal. So if you would visit most churches in the 1800s, women usually did not get up and speak in front of the congregation. But in a Quaker assembly, women could speak as freely as men could. Because of this, Lucretia Mott became a very powerful public speaker. She had lots of practice speaking in public at Quaker gatherings. Her partnership with Stanton was that Stanton would write many of the speeches for her, and then Mott would deliver them before large crowds. Mott also went on to start Swarthmore College near Philadelphia. So one of the things that was really important at the Seneca Falls Convention was suffrage. Women's suffrage is simply winning the right to vote. This was finally achieved by the 19th Amendment, which passed in 1920s. But you can see that Mott died in 1880. Stanton died in 1902. Susan B. Anthony, another important women's rights leader, died in 1906. So they started their fight in the 1840s, and women did not get the right to vote until 1920. So for many, it was a lifelong fight that a lot of women leaders did not even live to see. Finally, we'll kind of conclude on this piece of trivia about the Seneca Falls Convention. One of the few male speakers at this women's rights convention was Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born a slave. As a child, he learned to read and write. This was something that was illegal in most southern states. It was illegal to educate a slave. As a young man, he escaped from slavery, and as he made his way north, he got involved in the abolitionist movement, and he became a powerful public speaker and writer. So he was invited to attend the Seneca Falls Convention, and he was invited to speak there. Late in his life, he would break with the women's suffrage leaders. He thought that the country could allow black men to vote, but to push the issue and also win the vote for women was asking too much of the country, and if they tried to get both things, that would fail. So some of these leaders that had been friends with him in the 1840s and the 1850s, some of these women became almost enemies of Frederick Douglass late in his life.